It is the eve of Thanksgiving, and I wish to one day hopefully partake in a traditional American Thanksgiving, because it just looks like 4 days of just real fun, to be completely honest. And up here in Canada, it's not quite the same for Thanksgiving. Like, it shows up just on a random, I guess, Monday or whatever, and it doesn't really have the same significance, and it's been cucked out by stupid Justin Trudeau. So, you know what? Hey, any sort of reverence that was held in the cultural zeitgeist has been stripped away by Prime Minister Blackface, soon to be Commissar. But heading into said long weekend, there's a few lingering things when it comes to Joe Biden, and even the New York Times is now having to admit that Joe Biden's really doesn't have much of a plan when it comes to combating the coup, because more people are dying under his plan as compared to Trump, and he had an entire year without a vaccine. So why are more people dying with a vaccine under Joe Biden? Questions, of course. So, New York Times admits more coronavirus deaths under Joe Biden despite vaccines. That must be tough. That must have been very difficult to just type out. The New York Times delivered a dire statistic the day before Thanksgiving, admitting more people in the United States have died from the Chinese coup this year under President Joe Biden's leadership than last year. Well, to be fair, it's probably not Joe Biden's leadership. It's probably the White House, the administration's leadership, because those are two very different things. Despite the widespread availability of vaccines, and sometimes they aren't even just available, they're mandatory. The Times cited the Center for Disease Control and Prevention's Tuesday figures, which reported 386,233 coronavirus-related fatalities, in the U.S. for 2021. In all of 2020, the U.S. recorded 385,343 fatalities. Those are all fairly significant numbers, if we're being completely honest. That's a lot of fucking people. But again, if we could just parse out the fucking details, how many people actually died of the coup and how many people were just, died with the coup. But again, if we're just looking at raw numbers, and even the Times has to bury Joe, we might as well pile on. The former figure is only expected to rise, as there is still over a month left in that year. Those are rookie numbers right now. We got to get those up before the end of the year. Citing experts, the Times attributed the increased fatality this year on a confluence of factors, focusing primarily on what is described as crucially lower than needed vaccination rates. Sure, then how do you explain 2020 then? Okay, we're under vaccination rates. My new fucking variant, and there's apparently a new one. Okay, before this one hits the mainstream, I think it was on Daily Mail or something when I was doing some research. There's a new one that's coming out. I think it's from like Bangladesh or something, and it's like, okay, cool. So this is going to be pushing strong into 2022. I can't fucking believe it, but whatever. Focusing primarily on what it was described as crucially than lower needed vaccination rates, but also the relaxation of everyday precautions. Okay, sure. Like masks and social distancing, which worked so well, right? Obviously. And the rise of the highly contagious Delta variant. Okay, cool. Give all those mitigating factors for Joe Biden, even though he had stronger than Trump restrictions on everything, okay? That was one of the things that he implemented day one. We're going to have masks on all federal land and federal transportations. Really looked like it helped, huh? Per the Times, essentially, public health experts said many Americans are behaving as though COVID-19 is now a manageable endemic disease rather than a crisis. Yeah, most people just are kind of fucking over all of this bullshit right now. A transition that will happen eventually, but has not happened yet because he won't let it happen. It's been happening in other countries, like Nordic countries, the ones that you like to point out as being socialist paradises, even though they aren't. But yeah, no, don't point to them right now. Yet many are also refusing to get vaccinated. Okay, we have so many people vaccinated, but why are so many people dying? We don't want to have to reconcile those numbers. God damn it. To make the transition to what the scientists call endemacy, stop making up words. It doesn't fucking matter. Which would mean the virus would still circulate at a lower level with periodic increase. So even they're saying eventually we're going to have to fucking deal with it, just not right now, because we still need to create and stoke fear because the midterms are still just a little bit too far out of our reach. So if we could just let this go for a few more months, that'd be great. Okay, thanks. But not spike in devastating cycles that characterize the pandemic. Okay, cool. Is that just like one of those new things that you use to characterize something as a pandemic? Or maybe it's just like, I don't know, the natural ebbs and flows of viruses. Maybe this is something people have been talking about for a long time, but no, we're 21 months deep into this bullshit, so we'll just continue to fucking push along the same old tired narrative now, won't we? Just 59% of Americans are fully vaccinated. Oh, the lowest group of any of the group of 7 nations. Yeah, just pick 7 nations out of a hat. Don't really care what's in there, like fucking Chad, Egypt, United States. I'm sure it's those highly developed countries, but again, who gives a shit? However, placing the blame on lower than needed vaccination rates appears to defy logic, as the vaccine has been widely available for the bulk of the year. But my Delta variant. But remember, before that, it was my UK variant and the California variant and then the other California, but whatever. Yeah, it's always going to be a new variant, right? Yeah, obviously. Now, the same cannot be said for 2020, when the world was just beginning to discover what the virus was and where it came from, while Trump administration moved to get a vaccine production going via Operation Warp Speed. Vaccines were not widely available to the entirety of the eligible population until this year. Even so, rollout has demonstrated that vaccinated individuals can still spread and contract the virus. Except it's really funny, right? Oh, we need higher vaccination rates. But what exactly have the studies proved about people who have naturally recovered from getting the coof and what the spread there is? Yeah, I did a video on that one. I think it was like Sunday or something like that. You should go back and watch that one again, because it really kind of dispels their narrative even further. Long and short of it is, no recorded proof. Anyways, Times also attributed the increased fatalities to the relaxation of everyday precautions. Sure, I'm sure they're going to point out exactly what I just did earlier. One of the key incentives officials touted to Americans during vaccine rollout, many of whom promised the vaccines would pave way for Americans to return to the state of pre-pandemic normalcy. However, that proved to be false. Oh, no, government lying to you? Oh my, I can't fucking believe it. However, that proved false, as many localities and blue states reintroduced restrictions, including mask mandates, regardless of vaccination status, because masks work, right? Cool. That aside, Florida alone challenges the assertion that lax mitigation measures are attributing the spread and increased fatalities to Sunshine State, whose Governor Ron DeSantis came under a flurry of constant scrutiny throughout the pandemic for prioritizing personal freedoms and refusing to keep the state locked down, continues to have the lowest coronavirus case rate per capita in the nation. Yeah, fucking funny that one, huh? And then even still, big shout out to Greg Abbott in Texas. Similar numbers, similar procedures. And even stupid Brian Kemp, who I see up there, he's talking about the Ahmaud Arbery verdict. And if you want my really uninformed opinion on that, just check out the previous video. Had to talk about it because it's big news, but I don't really know much about it. Speaking once again about Florida, it never had a statewide mask mandate in place, even at the height of the pandemic. Yeah, but they locked down for a couple of weeks, and then Ron DeSantis also passed red flag laws earlier in his administration. Don't let that one fucking slip by, okay? The Time Zone coronavirus tracker, last updated Wednesday, shows Florida reporting a daily average of 1,397 cases, or 7 per 100,000 people. Cool. Now, the lowest per capita rate in the nation, Florida's most recent figures reflect a 5% drop in cases over the last 14 days. So they're low, and they're getting lower. But remember, it was Ron DeSantis. Fuck off. All you need to do, here's a one way to get past the critics and fucking smooth brains that are out there on Twitter. Pay them no attention, and then they just go away. States that have reinstated mandates, which remember, the New York Times is also calling for laxed restrictions are leading to more people dying in 2021. No. Take a look at that sauce that you're fucking pumping all the time. Such as Illinois are not faring as well. Oh, man, but their governor there, Pritzker, can really write a fucking scathing letter on official fucking government letterhead to Kyle Rittenhouse, making just a whole swath of stupid statements, but getting the coof under control, yeah, that was a little bit tougher, I suppose. Reporting a daily average of 4,599 cases, so just about 4,600, or 36 per capita. That represents an increase of 73% over the same time period. You know what you need to do? Lock down harder, right? Other blue states, including Michigan, New York, Pennsylvania, are seeing similar trends. Last year, during the second presidential debate, then candidate, I wish it stayed that way, Biden blamed President Trump for the coronavirus-related fatalities in the United States. 220,000 Americans are dead, and another 200,000 are going to die before the end of the year. Unless, of course, you get the reins of power, and then you're just going to drag that out a little bit longer and double that number and try to get to 400,000 by the end of your first year. Good job. I guess that's another one of those record-breaking statistics alongside your inflation numbers there, my dude. But what's Joe doing to respond to all this stuff? Well, he's not taking any questions. He's hopping on Marine One, and he's going down to Nantucket for Thanksgiving because the fuck everybody else. I got some vacation time to take. No plan to visit the victims of Waukesha Christmas Parade attack. And we got some developments on that one, but that's going to be a full video up next. But what a fucking... just a piece of shit. How do you not go down to a place where a fucking savage decided to drive through a Christmas parade, killing 6 people? It's 6 right now, and injuring, I think at least 40 plus people are fucking injured on this one. He has no plans to go visit them though, probably because they were all white. President Joe Biden left the White House Tuesday evening for his long Thanksgiving vacation in Nantucket with no plans to visit the victims of the horrific killings of families at the Waukesha Christmas Parade earlier this week. 6 people were killed in the annual parade on Sunday after the driver of an SUV intentionally drove into a crowd of people watching the parade. 5 adults were killed. Authorities oh no, not a kid. Announced Tuesday that an 8-year-old boy died from his injuries. At least 60 people... okay, 40 was a little bit of an undershoot. 60 people were injured. Police arrested Darrell E. Brooks, 39, for the attack. The White House did not announce any plans for the president to visit the grieving Waukesha community. No, and they also wouldn't, walk back their statements calling Kyle Rittenhouse a fucking white supremacist. But hey, you know what? You take the good, you take the bad, and you get Joe Biden. You saw the president speak to, in his heart, all of our hearts go out to the community. Oh, is this what Psaki had to say? Fuck her. The families who suffered the tremendous tragedy, but I don't have any trips or anything to preview for you at this point. What, are you just waiting for the bodies to be cold? But again, it makes looking at the names and looking at the people, looking at the demographics of Waukesha, it just, it seems pretty obvious to me why he's not taking the trip down there. Instead, Biden left early to celebrate Thanksgiving with his family in Nantucket on a $30 million estate owned by David Rubenstein, co-founder of the Carlyle Group. Wow, I wonder how much money he's going to be getting for that trip out there. The president waited several hours to react to the Christmas parade attack until finally calling it a horrific act of violence. So at least he said that. And to be fair, he had to wait several hours to just wake up anyways. So he said so on Monday afternoon, offering prayers from his family for the victims. Biden reacted differently when 8 people were shot and killed in the spas in Atlanta, directing that flags be lowered to half-mast to mourn the victims. That's a fair comparison to make. In March, Biden visited the city and condemned the skyrocketing hate crimes against Asian Americans, but he wouldn't say who was perpetuating those hate crimes. And you guys remember Stop Asian Hate? Wow, that was a fun hashtag trend at the time. And then also prayers up for Nice and all that kind of fun stuff, right? Yeah, that just goes to show how hollow and just how vacuous Joe Biden is, because even NPR can't fucking hide the fact that this guy is a sputtering, muttering failure as president, and we're only a year in. But again, if the Waukesha tragedy happened in 2023, he'd probably be a little bit more apt to be taking a swing down there to just, glad hand and make sure that everybody knows that my thoughts and prayers are really with you guys. He's just a politician through and through. And I guess almost 50 years of service, quote unquote, would go ahead and prove that. He doesn't give a fuck. He just cares about your vote. He doesn't care about the person. It's fairly fucking obvious. His fraudulency, Joe Biden's approval rating plunged to 42% in a poll conducted by NPR. His disapproval rate jumped to 52%. Those are like, I don't know, probably like the hardest press from the mainstream media against Trump. Like, those numbers are abysmal. Absolutely fucking abysmal. In a month in this specific poll, Biden has lost 4 points. Back in October, Biden sat at 44% approval, 50% disapproval. Oh, so 2 on each category. So he's gone from being underwater by 6 points to 10 points. Fuck NPR, a left-wing taxpayer-funded propaganda outlet that frequently spreads misinformation. John Nolte, you gotta love the guy. Writes, Americans' most pressing economic concern is inflation, and it's contributing to the decline on how they view President Biden according to new poll. NPR and Marist. What's the difference? Biden's approval is down to 42%, the lowest recorded in the survey since Biden took office, and a slim majority also say that he hasn't fulfilled his campaign promises. Let's break down these numbers, shall we? When voters were asked what their top economic concerns are, inflation took the top spot, 39%, followed by wages, 18%, interesting, labor shortage, 11%, and housing costs, unemployment, and gas prices, all tied at 9%. Yeah, but what can Joe Biden do? Oh, he can't do anything when it comes to gas prices. Oh, wait a minute, he can tap into the strategic reserves and then just, make 50 million barrels appear out of nowhere. Meanwhile, that's just kind of a symbolic gesture, and then we'll only cover 3 fucking days of the oil needs, but we'll do nothing long term. But okay. Americans can deal with price increases, which are a fact of life. Just not at such a steep incline, the steepest that it's been since the year of my birth, 1990. It doesn't seem like that long ago, but I have no frame of reference before that, so take that what you will. This is different. The cost of very basics of life, food and energy, are not inching up. They are exploding in a way that only affects the bottom line of the working and middle class and gives us all a sense of something is wrong, terribly wrong. And it really looks like a lot of fucking people are catching on to this because those numbers, man, they don't lie. And this is from NPR. This isn't from this is a Breitbart poll or anything like that where you're just preaching to the converted. You're talking to NPR listeners, like the hardest of the hardcore, okay? The people who think that MSNBC take it a little bit too lightly. The people who blissfully look towards just a really pathetic cadence and very annoying talking points. Yeah. No emotion, and they just like the propaganda, just whispered very auditorially, pleasingly into your ear. Yeah. Makes me physically ill to listen to, but hey, that's Joe Biden for you, and it looks like a lot of people are starting to have regrets on this one. Didn't take as long as I anticipated. I thought there might have been a little bit of regret, especially after the ass kicking that's coming up in 2022. It's gonna be a disaster. I'm so much looking forward to next year in those midterm elections because it's going to be a spurg out, the likes of which we'll never see before. But we actually have an update as to what the opposition is doing right now. And I'm not going to read much into it, but I think it kind of speaks for itself. And sometimes a word or a picture does say 1,000 words, but that one right there, it just makes me laugh. And I've got many opinions when it comes to the current media tour that Kyle's out on, but he was right from the beginning, and, well, might as well take the victory lap now. That's pretty cool. And I know Trump's like 6'4", so that puts Kyle at a pretty tall guy, so congratulations on that as well. But with that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.